Suffer versus suffer from. I would like to know the difference between suffer and suffer from. From the dictionary, I cannot distinguish between them. In particular, which of the following should I use? Suffer interference from other transmitters, suffer from interference from other transmitters.
I disagree with VB.NET Learner. There are two different verbs. The common one is intransitive, so either has no object or the object is indirect with from. The literal meaning is feel pain as. How he suffers, I suffer from a bad back. But it is often used figuratively with meanings like be inconvenienced. He suffers from his bad decisions. The other verb is transitive, takes a direct object, and is rather literary. It means undergo or experience, usually with a negative connotation and often with an implication that one is resolutely accepting the experience. A more colloquial equivalent would be put up with. He suffered the indignity of an examination. We suffered a power cut yesterday. There are some cases where both would work, but with different meanings. So, Freddie suffers from his bad decisions. Means that his, maybe Freddie's own, maybe somebody else's, decisions affect Freddie and make life difficult for him, but Freddie suffers his bad decisions. Which, as I say, is somewhat literary, means that Freddie is affected by his, somebody else's, bad decisions, but carries on nevertheless.
Suffer the little children to come unto me, and forbid them not, for such is the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 19:1. So suffer by itself can also mean allow. The Oxford Dictionary Online has archaic tolerate. France will no longer suffer the existing government. But I'm not sure about it being archaic, as it also has the living example in the phrase. He was a perfectionist who didn't suffer fools gladly. As for the examples the poster gives, they really belong on Say English language learners. The same page of the Oxford Dictionary Online has examples of suffer and suffer from, but does not really explain the difference. I imagine this is possible, but for native speakers it is a question of usage. The examples on that page clearly indicate that suffer from interference from other transmitters would be correct, corresponding to example 1.1, and omitting the from does not correspond to any of the examples there without from, and appears strange to me.
I think it depends on the question asked or info you want to convey. I'm not very knowledgeable when it comes to English grammar and I am not a native English speaker, but look at the following example. If you will look at these sentences, it seems that all of them say the same thing. But if you analyze them, what they convey seems different. Mr. X is suffering from his illness, more focused on how the person is. Mr. X is suffering with his illness, more focused on what brought the person to his state. Mr. X is suffering on / over his illness, more focused on how the person feels about it. Ms. Y is suffering from her decision, more focused on how the person is. Ms. Y is suffering with her decision, more focused on what brought the person to his state. Ms. Y is suffering on / over her decision, more focused on how the person feels about it. I edited the comments in italics, as I think they are simpler to understand that way.
I found developing countries that have suffered from the impacts of climate change. I think it would be better without the from, but it would slightly change the meaning. Suffered the impacts would mean the impacts had affected them. Suffered from the impacts would mean they had experienced suffering as a result of the impacts.
If you want to support our channel, please consider liking and subscribing.